Hello and welcome to Center Ice Cardcast, your one-stop podcast shop for all things hockey cards. My name is Eric Andrews, also known in the hobby as Hammerhawks, and I'm joined by my co-host and fellow hobbyist Aaron Goldstein, better known as Crease Collector. So there was some pretty big news within the hobby last week as there were two historic sales that were completed. Aaron, do you just want to share a little bit more about those sales?
Yeah, so big news with the Gretzky. Obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you have probably heard about it by now. The 1979-80 Wayne Gretzky rookie card, both the PSA 10 tops and the PSA 10 OPC, both sold recently. Of course, the OPC is the big draw. It sold for a total of $1.29 million US, which comes out to, for us Canadians, at 1.65 million Canadian. So that's a lot, just crazy amount of money. The first card to sell for over $1 million US, and the tops didn't do too bad either. It sold for about 720,000 US, comes out to about just short of $1 million Canadian at 920,000. And both prices include that buyer's premium, which, of course, if you're familiar with that auction style, the buyer does need to pay a premium price once the auction closes. Like I said, the OPC 10 is the first hockey card in this hobby to break the $1 million mark. That is beyond huge for our hobby, and it even beat out a Michael Jordan green PMG. So just unbelievable that night for the hobby. We kind of knew that this was going to happen eventually, especially with this card. Well, both these cards are going on auction at the same time, but it is quite an incredible thing to see. And there was a little bit of a, I'm not going to say issue, but there was an edge concern with the Gretzky that some people did bring up. They were complaining about the OPC 10 because of that right edge not being super clean. If you did notice the scan that we posted up, or you've seen, on news reports, whatever, you would notice that right side a little bit off. But the thing is, with these older vintage cards, especially the OPCs, is that the printing process at the time was that they were cut into sheets, and then once they were getting ready for pack out, they were cut off the sheets using these metal wires. And that was just how they did things back then. And these wires would dull over time. Hence, for 99% of these cards, you would have this rough kind of wire cutting these cards and leaving these rough edges. So when looking at older OPCs and specifically grading older OPC cards, the grader does take this manufactured process into consideration. And so the grader is not going to take away from the card because all the other sectors of the card look clean. And if it just based on a printing process, then they're not going to factor that rough edge into the grade. So it's similar to today when you look at a modern card like the McKinnon Young Guns, for example. The McKinnon Young Guns, for a lot of them, did have a printing defect, and it had around the arm, shoulder area, it had a pink sort of hue, I guess you could say. And so that was just a manufacturer kind of error. And so when people were to grade these, the printer error did not kind of register to them, and they would grade it kind of around that. It would not kind of affect the grade at all. People did get replacements, and so you can see both versions of the clean copy and then the pink kind of McKinnon version. But that's just another example. We don't see too much of it anymore, but in the hobby where a very clear, manufactured factory error is so widespread that the grader does not take that into consideration when looking at these cards and the condition of it. So that is we just want to clear that up for the Gretzky, is that although that right edge does look concerning to some, especially on a PSA 10, it's not the fault of the grader for giving it a 10. It's just sort of how they were back then. And I know that some people, no matter what kind of answer you give, will have a problem with that. And I get that, because obviously on any PSA 10 you look at, especially nowadays with the modern grading going insane right now, you do expect a clean copy. And especially for a card going over $1 million, you expect, the cleanest copy. And I believe that's the only PSA 10 Gretzky for the OPG. So, or maybe one of two, but it could be wrong on that. But especially for such a historic card in the hobby, you just hope that it does look clean, and then you see it's kind of disappointing, especially again if you're used to that modern cleanness of a card, and especially now with people, they're looking for that. And so they might be shocked to see that edge correlate with that insane price. But another thing to look at when it comes to the price of this card, and which is why a lot of people weren't shocked that it went over $1 million. This PSA 10 OPG Gretzky is such an iconic card in the hobby, and especially with these times going on, you just knew someone was going to buck up for over $1 million. And it's been a long time coming for the hockey card fans out there. And this card, no matter if it had a right edge, printing defect, or a left edge, or both, and it just somehow got a 10, this card is kind of like a status card, some people would say. And so they're not really looking for, the cleanest copy in the world. And people who are paying this kind of money just want that PSA 10, especially for the OPG. It's just such a sought after card. And although they do expect that clean copy for other PSA 10s, they might sink that kind of money into. For a Gretzky, it's just kind of like, look, like this is the only kind of copy out there. It's a status card in the hobby. I'm going to pay $1 million for it. Like, let's do it. So for some, the price might have shocked them, but for me, it wasn't all that shocking, because one, the landscape of the hobby this year has been insane with record-breaking prices we've seen. So the Gretzky was no different. And but yeah, huge card in the hobby, and hopefully that clears some things up as far as that edge.
And just to confirm, there are 2 PSA 10s of the OPG,
cool.
And actually 2 of the Topps PSA 10 as well. So yeah, they're not the only copy, but there are just only 2 of each of those cards.
It'd be interesting to see what that other copy looked like. I remember hearing about the PSA 10 Gretzky rookie. It might have been this same copy, like years ago. So maybe if the other copy hasn't surfaced or what have you, but it'd be really interesting to take a look at that other copy and see what kind of, printing errors, shall we say, are on them. Because again, grading is such a subjective, kind of tricky topic in the hobby. But for a card like this, to get a PSA 10, you just knew one of 2, one of 3, whatever, you just knew it was going to command, big bucks, especially with these, both the OPG and Topps being listed at the same time. We just knew it was very strategic, and it paid off big. So over 2 million in cards right there. Unbelievable stuff. All right, after the whole OPG and Topps Gretzky talk, big news in the hobby, we also have some, maybe not as hobby shaking, but Eric, you got some mail. Definitely share that with us before we bring on our special guest.
Yes, absolutely. So as I mentioned last time, my kind of hot streak of big additions for my collection has continued. And, like you said, this obviously is nowhere remotely close to a Gretzky PSA 10 rookie, and really nor is it, in my mind, all that close to the Vezina card from last time. Well, I guess a couple episodes ago, but yeah, still a very big addition for my collection, and definitely something that I've been wanting for many, many years. And this specific version that I acquired is something I've definitely been wanting for a few years. So to be able to find it and acquire it, it's definitely weight off my shoulders almost for my collection. And it kind of just feels like it's been a long time coming to acquire this. So without further ado, and to clarify, Aaron doesn't know what this is.
It's another torturous mail day, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's been hearing in general, oh, I got something big.
Yeah, please stop doing that.
But
it's painful.
he doesn't know. But so anyway, I'm gonna throw it on the screen right now so Aaron can check it out too and find out at the same time as you guys. So here we go, and Aaron, you can tell them exactly what it is.
Oh, no way, it's the it's the old school Coyotes jersey. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, no way. Oh, that's awesome. I kind of had a feeling that was that because we saw that guy post up on Facebook a whole bunch of those game used ones. So I have no idea where he got a hold of that, but oh man, I'm so glad he got the Jalmerson. Whew. Oh, with all those colors. Oh, that's so awesome with the patch on the side. Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's an
Oh,
iconic jersey for sure. And yeah, we actually the guy who I bought it from had gotten it, I think, that same day, and I just took a screenshot of the post and sent it to Aaron and was like, "Oh man, like look at this! Like I got to get one of these eventually." And I started talking to the guy, and he's like, "Yeah, like I think I want to keep it, but that could change down the road, and if so, I'll let you know." So I said, "Okay, that's fine." So fast forward, I don't know, probably it wasn't that long, maybe a couple weeks, and he says, "Hey, something came up. There's something else even bigger that I really want for my collection. So if you want to buy it off of me, that's fine. If you're able to do that, or however we need to make it work out, that's fine." So luckily enough, I was able to work it out. I had some money owed to me for a project that I'd done earlier in the year. So amazingly, there was really no money that came out of my pocket, so to speak, for the jersey. So, to be able to finally get a Jalmerson game worn jersey, and for it to be that super iconic Coyotes Kachina style jersey was just super cool. And for those wondering, it's from the 2019-20 season, and it was used all the way up to the stoppage. So it was a set 2 jersey. So they started using them in January, and the last game that they used them for was February 29th, and that was the last Coyotes home game prior to the stoppage. So kind of just a unique little factoid there that goes along
pretty
with,
historic.
yeah, kind of a historic little component of it. And I enjoyed that. I believe that he wore it in 5 or 6 games, and among those were games against the Penguins, the Capitals, and the Blackhawks, which is pretty cool. If you go on Getty Images, there's some pretty cool photos of him battling it out with Alex Ovechkin while wearing the jersey. So that's
Nice.
pretty cool too. Haven't found any super distinct photo matches yet, just because since it was only worn for a handful of games, it's kind of tough to find really good photo matches when a jersey is as clean as it is. But yeah, definitely an extremely unique and very, very cool piece that's at this point probably unquestionably the highlight of my Jalmerson collection. And like I said, has been something that's been a long time coming. So
That's awesome. Did you get any points in those games or just
I believe he got at least 1 assist. I looked up
something?
the game logs from those games, and I'm pretty sure that the first game he wore it, I think he had an assist.
That's awesome. That's like, again, that's pretty historic. I'm not sure what kind of, like what point, what career total point that was, but maybe it was a nice round number or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously he's not exactly John Carlson or Brent Burns or anything like that, putting up crazy point totals. So
Still.
yeah, but just the fact that he did contribute offensively while wearing it is cool. And obviously, like I said, that's not why he's in the NHL, is to be putting up points from the blue line. But yeah, definitely very cool to have some historical component tied to it. It'd be even cooler in my mind if it was the playoff bubble game worn jersey instead, but that jersey was not available to the best of my knowledge. So yeah, I mean, pretty cool that, like I said, it led right up to the stoppage, and an event that definitely has kind of changed the world's history as we know it right
Yeah, the
now.
last
So
the last game with fans in it as far as right now.
yeah, so pretty neat little thing there. And yeah, like I said, definitely just a huge thing for me to finally get a Jalmerson game worn jersey. I definitely would like to get a Blackhawks game worn jersey of his, of course. Probably would prefer to get one of the classic red home jerseys, but I wouldn't mind one of their black alternate jerseys from over the years either. I've liked
Yeah, they're sharp.
both of the black alternate jerseys that they had when he was still in Chicago. So if I was able to get either of those, I would certainly take it. Funny enough, actually, I had another jersey collector that has a Jalmerson white Blackhawks playoff game jersey. And he said, hey, if you would do it, I would trade you that for your Coyotes one. So that's something
I
to at least
mean,
consider. But I mean, I would say it's probably a fair trade given that it's a playoff jersey. But at the same time, it's one of the white ones, which I just don't like as much. They're not as interesting. And kind of another interesting thing about Blackhawks jerseys is the logos are never stitched on in the same placement on any given jersey. So unfortunately, on this specific Hjalmarsson Blackhawks jersey, the logo is actually like fairly noticeably crooked on the jersey, which kind of is cool to some extent that it's kind of unique in that way. But to me, it's kind of like, yeah, like that just doesn't look good. I'm not really super interested in that. So, but yeah, at the very least, interesting to know that that offer is on the table. And if I ever just said I got to have a Blackhawks jersey, then I know exactly where I can get one and know that I can get it. So, but yeah, so that's my big mail, and that'll do it for big mail for at least the next little while. I'm saving up for something even more substantial, which I
it's going
know
to be
is
good.
hard to believe, but saving up for something more substantial to share with you guys on the podcast. That's pretty much all I will say about that right now, because I don't have a ton of super specific details, but as the time gets closer, I will certainly let you guys know about that. So enough about us. We want to get into the main part of the episode, as we have a very special collector coming on to share about his collection. So joining us now is the Marc-Andre Fleury super collector, Kendall Mullin. Kendall, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey guys, thanks for inviting me.
No problem at all. We just want to get things started super quick. Basic question. How did you get into just card collecting, and what do you most enjoy about the hobby?
Well, so I've been doing it probably like everyone else, I guess. Started when you were a kid, right? Had the Gretzky rookies, put it in my bike spokes like everyone else, and kind of quit, I guess. When I got older, started to get into high school, stuff like that. I just kind of got away from it. And then when Upper Deck, I guess, come on the scene, new cards, the design was great, the photography, all that stuff kind of piqued my interest again. So I started collecting again right around that year. So it'd be 91, I guess. And I've been pretty much collecting ever since. I've always been a goalie guy, so collected as much as I can with goalie sets and stuff. And then when Marc-Andre Fleury came on board, I've always been a Pittsburgh fan. Fleury came on board as the top pick. I'm like, this is what I want to do. So it was a no-brainer. Top pick, goalie, Pittsburgh. I'm in. That's pretty much how it started, I guess.
As far as Flurry goes, was your intention to always, as far as collecting him goes, like to super collect him? Because obviously there's different levels of collecting. But was your intention always to go, to that level with Flurry?
I want to say no when I started because I didn't really know how big it was going to grow. So I kind of came in a little bit late, probably about halfway through his first season when I started collecting. And, that's when his rookie cards were just coming out. They were, expensive. I'm like, I'll pick up a couple kind of thing and then just kind of go from there, see where it leads. And then it just I kind of got away from the goalie insert sets that I was building and then concentrated more on just Fleury and Fleury alone.
That's awesome. I know you do keep a pretty accurate count, but for those listening, how many Fleury cards do you have?
Oh boy.
I know. I want to say around like 5,200, but
I'm
like
pretty
with doubles and
sure
all that.
it's definitely over that. I'm thinking. I want to say, okay, so it's roughly 4,500 pack inserted. And then like the miscellaneous stuff, which would be like your show stamps and all that stuff. There's another like 900. So yeah, about 5,400, I guess.
Wow.
That's insane. Yeah, insane.
It is insane.
Well, I'm glad you recognize that at least. You know how insane that is, especially when looking at other player collectors, and you're like, that's a lot of cards, but like I have that much more. Yeah, insane.
So obviously, for the longest time in his career, Marc-Andre Fleury was tied to the Pittsburgh Penguins. And, then back in 2017, that changed and he went to
Mhm.
Vegas in the expansion draft.
Mhm.
Maybe just talk a little bit about that, what your feelings were when he finally left, your favorite team in the Penguins and went to Vegas. And, maybe with that, would you say that you like collecting Vegas stuff as much as Penguin stuff or more, or is, just a Fleury card, no matter who he's pictured with?
For me, now it is, yeah, it's all like I'm a Fleury collector. I'm not so much a Pittsburgh collector. So if he went when he was traded, I knew it was going to keep going. Um, and if he retires with Vegas, great. If he is traded somewhere else and he plays another couple of seasons, I'll follow him there. It doesn't really matter. So, um, I actually do like I'm always been a Pittsburgh fan, like I said, but I do have some Vegas jerseys and stuff with Fleury on it, so I'm kind of torn a little bit. Um, enjoy watching when Vegas plays Pittsburgh. I don't really cheer for either one because I want to see them both do well, I guess. But yeah, I'll always be a Fleury collector, and no matter where he ends up, and I'll always collect whatever team he's playing for. So, which made it kind of hard when he was traded to Vegas. Um, he was nearing the end of his tenure in Pittsburgh. His cards were doing well. His cards have always done well. But when he was traded to Vegas, a new group of collectors came on board, and they just skyrocketed. So that's killing me because especially the low numbered cards, right? It's really tough to get them now, and if I can get them, it's more than I would anticipate to pay, especially when he was with Pittsburgh. So, yeah, that's been a downside for me, but I'm happy that his cards are doing well.
That's awesome. It's good to see that, especially from someone like yourself. Sticking with the player no matter the team, because I feel like, and sometimes in the hobby, people are in it for just them being on their favorite team, and then when they leave, it's kind of like a fire sale. So it's really good to
Yep,
see. Yeah,
exactly. I've
exactly.
just seen that recently with Murray being traded to
Yep.
Ottawa, right?
Yep.
Saw a couple of collectors on there who were Murray fans, and they're like, "Well, fire sale."
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your right to do whatever you want with your cards, no doubt. But it's always kind of sad to see, it's like I thought you were a player collector, and it's it's about collecting the player no matter where they go. And so it's nice
100%.
to see exactly. So it's nice to see that you not only continued the collection but continued it in the same form that you were going. So you didn't miss a beat at all. Like whether it be fighting with Pittsburgh collectors or fighting with this new breed of Vegas collectors, and just casual collectors just wanting Vegas cards. You know what I mean? So just I can only imagine the amount of competition you faced, but it's always good to see you continue on. And yeah, it was awesome to see. And the cards speak for themselves. So unbelievable. The next question, kind of a fun one. Are you familiar with the I guess the mascot, Marc-Andre Fleury?
I am I am familiar with him. He's a pretty cute little fella. I've seen him a couple times on. He's been on. I think it was Sportsnet, maybe. I'm not sure. One of the shows had a special on him or whatever. He's pretty cool.
I'm a big Bark Andre guy too. I bought my wife Bark Andre's owners started making little stuffed versions of him, so I actually bought one for her a couple years ago. But
Yeah, it's
um,
cool.
That's why this question's in here. Like I knew there was an angle. Anyway,
It's all
continue.
good. It's all good.
Anyway, back to the cards. Obviously, just with the sheer quantity of cards you have, how do you store your collection, or do you display your collection at all? And how often do you look through your Flurry cards?
So storage is really just basically boxed up. I have a few that are kind of laying around, like out on display. Not very many. I just like to keep them like off away from dust and
Mm-hmm.
nice and clear and clean and not in direct sunlight or anything like that. So they're just kind of boxed up. As far as how often, I mean, I look at them, I would say almost every day. I mean, so when there's new stuff coming in, I have boxes obviously by year. So if I get a card from his rookie season or whatever, I got to go back to that box. I go in, put it in order. I'm a little picky on how my cards are stored and stuff like that. So yeah, anytime a new card comes in and I'm putting them away, especially at the end of the month when I do my wrap up kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
I go to those boxes, put them in the proper order. So I'm always looking at them. I'm always in hand, I guess, and they're never that far away. Now, mind you, the boxes have grown quite a lot over the years, so there's storage space is kind of getting a little tight, but I have extra room for that, so that's okay.
That's awesome. Could you put your cards in like one, like 5,000 count box, or are they in like one touches and it's just, you got to have more space,
Yeah, 100%. Every card is in like either a one touch or a top loader or whatever, right? And then there's just the sheer quantity is like the monster boxes. I think I have probably pushing 10 to 15 now. I think monster boxes, and they're full pretty much of everything. So
Wow.
yeah, there's a lot there for sure.
That's awesome. Kind of flipping gears to the like more the digital side of things. You're obviously known for your collection, obviously the cards first and foremost. But for me, like I've always really been impressed by your collection website for your Fleury collection. In my mind, I think as far as my experience in the hobby, like your collection website at Fleury was one of the first websites I saw to kind of showcase a collection. It kind of inspired me to start my own, actually.
Cool.
So, going back to that, like what was your kind of inspiration behind saying, hey, like I have this really impressive collection, but it's of a big name player and I want people to notice it and help me find cards. So I'm going to create an actual website to kind of do that. Like, what was your
Right.
kind of thought process with that?
So the way it started, I was looking for a place basically to have a digital copy of everything that I have. So in case something happened for whatever reason, maybe something got stolen or whatever, and I'd have something to go back to and say, this is the card I had or whatever. So it kind of basically just for security when I started. And then, so it was on like webs.com or whatever. It was just like website was in my own name, TK Mullin or whatever. So it started like that, and then as it grew, it was like, why do I should really get this out here and let more people see it. So I registered Marc-Andre Fleury.com a couple of years ago now, I guess it's been, and I've been trying to keep the website up to date as best I can. I'm a little slow because there's so much coming in and stuff, and the new releases, and trying to stay on top of that. So it's some of the years or whatever is a little bit outdated as far as the want lists and stuff like that. But yeah, try to get it out there, and I have a lot of hits, so I'm assuming a lot of people are looking at it. I don't know, and I've had some emails and stuff from other collectors, and it seems to be all around the world. So I guess it's getting out there, and it's turned out okay so far. I've gotten a fair amount of cards from people who I have no idea who they are. They've seen my website, they sent me an email, we worked out a deal, and we continue on, kind of thing. So
that's awesome. It's awesome to see, because I've had that, obviously not as much with my Enroth website. I've had people contact me from North America, but also like in Finland, and they just stumbled across a random Google search, and somehow it led back to the website, and then they shoot me an email, same thing. So obviously not on the scale that you're dealing with, but I have noticed the increased value of having a website for your collection. It might sound kind of silly for some people for cards, but I think it makes sense, especially how digital collecting is going right now, and how people connect through Facebook, Twitter, whatever, and of course forums. But yeah, for me it's really important, and you have to help inspire that for me. So like, I know it's
Cool.
kind of, it's not really card related, but I guess it kind of is. So yeah, I just definitely want to, touch base with you about your website.
Cool. Thank you.
Obviously, like we've said, there are so many cards that you have, and this is probably nearly an impossible question to answer. But what would you say are some of, I'm sure it's hard to pick just one, but maybe, what are a handful of your favorite Marc-Andre Fleury cards, and why are they your favorites?
Yeah, that's a tough question for sure. I guess. I have to be a 1 of 1, I guess. Oh, look at that.
Oh,
There you
or
go.
maybe these ones, the red parallels from Stature. Yeah,
Oh,
we had to
yeah,
pick
look at
these
that.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
no, they're awesome. They're
They are
so
nice.
good.
They are
So
nice for sure.
like I collect Flurry also, but don't worry, I'm not coming for your crown, but had to pick this up for my collection. The red parallels look awesome. So
Yeah, they're nice.
yeah,
They're nice for
no, they're
sure.
sweet.
Geez, that's tough. Really tough, I guess, to say. I think his rookie year, the Premier patch is
Mhm.
probably one of my
Yeah.
favorites. Um, Definitely. I would have liked to have owned a bazooka.
Yeah.
Um, Still trying to find that. Haven't chased it down yet. I have heard that there is one collector that has all 5. Um,
Oh,
Not sure if that's true or not, but I have no evidence of that, I guess. Um, I guess there's anything that has like he has such a nice autograph. So anything that has like his autograph on it, multicolored swatch, I have a few. There's a card from National Treasures. I think it's 24 goaltenders on it, all pieces of
oh, the
patches and
booklets.
stuff. The booklets.
Oh yeah, the booklets are really sharp.
He's included in that. I think it was 300 wins, the goalie wins or whatever. I
Hmm.
think that's the one, or maybe 400. Well, it must have been 300. Anyway, I think that's probably one of my favorites, just because of the sheer number of people on that card. It's a pretty impressive card. I kind of miss Panini, to be honest with you.
I
They
think
had
I
some,
think a lot of us do.
yeah, they had such, really good designs and innovative, and parallels were kind of a pain because they had so many, but
Mhm.
yeah, I think the hobby misses them, to be honest.
No doubt. Definitely a lot of good cards from Panini. Just like besides the cards, like just the competition that Panini brought to the market to force Upper Deck and whoever else was planning to come in, just to force them to be more, I guess, aware of what they're doing, because obviously they had that competition for the market. But anyway, that's another conversation for another day.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a little, it's a rabbit hole for sure. But as far as like the cards go as well, do you have any stories as far as acquiring certain cards that maybe were super rare? You might have thought that maybe I would never get this card, or maybe it was just a tough, like a tough retail card that don't pop up too often, or just like a nice story of generosity that you want to share.
There's a lot, to be honest. A lot of cards that I just didn't either knew existed, like didn't appear in a checklist for whatever reason. Just came across one a couple days ago, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't realize it was existing at all. It's a 1 of 1 from the 30th Upper Deck 30th anniversary.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so it's there, it's available, but asking prices is like ridiculous. So won't be in my collection anytime soon. So, see, that's another tough question. I think there's too many to answer, to be honest, because I've had so many people like help me out with cards that I've been trying to find for over the years, and both of you guys have helped with that, and I appreciate that very, very, very much. So yeah, I can't really put my finger on like one or two specific cards or whatever, but there's always people, it seems, out there that are looking to help other collectors, and that's a huge help for me. And I've received cards that way, and I've found cards for other collectors doing the same thing. So it's all about the community, I think, right? It's you scratch my back, I scratch yours, kind of thing. So yeah, and I'm sure it'll continue, right? So yeah, it's a big help getting out there for sure.
That's awesome. a card that sticks out to me, I wasn't planning on talking about it, but I'm sure you remember it. But there was a card, I believe last year or a year before that, where someone received a through the mail auto from, I think it was like Max Talbot or something. And Talbot or whoever it was included these cards that he never sent back to UD. And it was a dual autograph with Fleury. I think it was Talbot. I could be wrong. But whoever this player was gave this collector free cards and no one knew they existed.
100%.
And you ended up acquiring that.
I do have that. And I don't think it was Talbot. I can't remember who exactly it was, but yes, I do have that. And exactly, that's a perfect example. That's it was a collector in Europe, I think. Just out of the blue, said, I got a couple of cards, and do you want one? I'm like, yeah, of course, obviously, right? So
Yeah.
I included that in my miscellaneous list, and we'll go from there, right?
Yeah,
So,
no, it's always,
that was a sweet story. Yeah, that was nice.
no doubt.
Very cool. Yeah, one that comes to my mind as far as something that I know you'd been looking for a while and had some near misses and then finally found one was the 17-18 Premier Mega Patch sleeve number card.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yep.
I did. I was lucky enough to get that from a collector. He gave up his collection, so I picked and chose which cards that I kind of wanted from it, and he was nice enough to give me first shot at it. So
Very nice.
yeah, that was a nice plus to get. So felt good. Things like that is like, especially when they're that low numbered, like 3, 4, 5 kind of thing, and all the new Vegas collectors that are out there, you're thinking, these either I'm not going to get one or I'm going to have to pay like through the nose in order to get it. But that was a nice touch for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been talking about, a few pretty rare cards here. And you mentioned that top C55 bazooka back earlier. Maybe in addition to that one, what are some of your Fleury white whales if you just had to pick a few?
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest one would be the bazooka for sure. That's probably my biggest. There's also one from, I'm trying to think of the year. I think it's 0809. Fleur Ultra had a total D set, and there was a gold autographed one in that. And I've yet to see anywhere. I think it was only released at Toys R Us maybe or something. It was one of these retail
exclusives.
Yeah. That's definitely another one. And there's one from 06, 07 trilogy, script 1 signature. There's only 2 of them, and I've never seen or heard.
Yeah, those ones are always
hoping
tough.
that it's there somewhere, but I mean, with numbered to 2 like that, and it's that old, I'll probably never see it. So
yeah, those cards out of 2 are kind of, straight up evil.
exactly.
Just make it a 1 of 1.
Yeah, exactly. You might as well say, right? I mean, and
Yeah.
for something like that, and so those are like, obviously those are tough to find, right? Because they're low number. But then there's the odd ones, right? That you would think, oh, that's no problem. I should have no trouble getting that. Like 12-13 score, black ice.
Oh, those black cards.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean,
oh man, I'm still looking for that.
it's just weird things. Like there's a 10-11 score French back.
Oh,
I mean, those are little, like just the little ones. Like you probably pick it up for like $1 if you find it, right? But it's just the matter of finding it. Those what keep me awake at night.
Well, yeah. I mean, those retail ones. I mean, those parallels you mentioned aren't retail exclusives, but just the brand, like Score, like kids pick that up. So it's like they're sitting
100%.
in, like if they're with a dealer at all, they're sitting in a dollar bin, or
Absolutely.
they're probably just in a kid's shoebox. You know what I mean? But that's what makes those cards for me, extra special, because it's like, you might not know by looking at it, but those who know how big of a card that is, and it's unreal. So I'm hoping you find those cards.
Yeah, me too. The search continues every day. Trust me.
Oh, I know. No doubt. I guess this is kind of a really open question. There's a lot of advice out there from a lot of different people, but from someone, not only as a collector for so many years, but just as someone who has been in the game, in the player collecting game for so long and has stuck through it, highs and lows of a player's career, trades and all that. Do you have any advice for any other collectors out there or any other player collectors who are looking to start a player collection of their favorite player or goalie?
Yeah, absolutely. First thing, you can't get discouraged. That's the biggest thing, I think. Chances are, if you're looking for a card, you'll find one. If you don't get that one, there'll be another one. It may not be this week, it may not be next month, it may not be this year, but eventually it'll come around again, and you'll get it, right. And I guess you should get to spend within your limits, especially with like a big name player. You're going to have to expect to spend a little more money to get the better cards, right? And you can't go in debt, that's for sure, right? I mean, you have to know how much money you have to spend, and keep it within the limits, and you got to have a budget. And just pick away, and enjoy it. It's a hobby, and it's to be enjoyed. And if you get to a point where you're not enjoying it, then take a breather, maybe take a break, a month or two or whatever, however long you need, and just kind of rest a bit and get back in it, hop on the horse again, and away you go. Just can't. The biggest thing is not get discouraged. I think that's the key, because it's there's highs and lows for sure. And I just lost a card 2 days ago, and it's fine. There's 5. The first one I saw, I'm sure there'll be another one. Just I wasn't willing to pay what they were looking to pay, and I'll keep it on my list, and it'll come around again eventually, I'm sure. What I've found has helped me lately, within the last, I'd say maybe a year and a half, has been U.S. shipping depot. So check out my cards, or ship my cards.
Mm-hmm.
I've had, I don't know how many times, because being from Canada, there's not a lot. Sometimes there's people who won't send to Canada, so you got to ship it somewhere else, right? So I used to depend on a fellow collector in Pittsburgh, and sent my stuff to him, but it got to be annoying for him. He never said that it was annoying or anything, but it's got to be, right?
Sending Fleury cards day after
getting
day.
Stuff. Yeah, right. Anyway, so ever since check out my cards and ship my cards came along, it's really helped me a lot. I've been able to get stuff that I know I would have missed out on, but being from Canada. So that's a plus for me.
That's really sound advice, especially for someone who has such a large collection. Just picking your battles and being patient can net you apparently a 5,000 count card collection. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't happen in a day. It takes years, and obviously paying the prices that you want to pay, and overpaying for the ones you really want. Eventually, if as long as you keep going, you can still build an impressive collection. Obviously, and yours is probably one of the best. I mean, we've kind of spoiled ourselves. We plan to feature player collectors, and we have you on first as our first, super collector, I guess. So to have yours to start off is setting the bar extremely high, probably as high as you can ever get. And switching gears just one more second, back to as far as collecting Fleury in the future. I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but would you still collect Marc-Andre when he retires?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm hoping that the numbers will drop a little bit.
I'm sure they will.
So he won't be in 25 cards in the cup in 10 years. But no, absolutely. I'll continue, and that'll be a good break for me. Hopefully the numbers will decrease a little bit. I'll be able to maybe pick up some cards from the past or whatever that I haven't been able to. But I'm sure all retired players at some point still appear in a set here and there. So he'll still continue for a while. And yeah, I'll still collect them for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be in a few legend sets. It's almost like a new avenue of collecting, for you. Like, if you look at your, mountains of boxes, you can be like, all right, his pre-NHL cards, his rookie cards, his career, and then you have that new sector of your collection in a way. I'm not sure if anyone else kind of, views it that way, but for me, I kind of do. And that for your collection, picking up those first few retired cards, I guess you could say, would be kind of cool. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of come full circle.
Absolutely.
That's good to hear that you're going to stick with that.
So we've talked a little bit about your website, obviously. maybe just share a little bit about that and other places that people can find you and get in touch with you and see your collection and your want list and just connect with you.
Yeah, for sure. As we mentioned, it's www.marcandrefleurycards.com. Like I say, I try to keep it updated as best I could or best I can. I'm also Facebook, a ton of different groups that are on Facebook. I'm all over the place there, looking for stuff as well. And eBay, my eBay ID is the same, Marc-Andre Fleury or Marc-Andre Fleury _com. Oh my God, what is it? I don't even know what it is. Marc-Andre Fleury cards _com. I'm easy to find. That's definitely for sure. And chances are I'll respond if someone sends me a note or a message or whatever. I'll respond somehow. And I'm always looking to add to my collection and help me get my checklist down. So
absolutely, yeah. Is there anything else you'd want to share about your collection or just about the hobby in general?
No, I think we covered a lot, man. I don't know.
We did.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty good. I appreciate you guys taking the time to ask me to come on board and get to chat for a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. We were kind of going back and forth because, you're so with it, when it comes to the hobby and being around everywhere, but, you're kind of like a ghost. You kind of just come in there and kind of leave for a bit. Like, obviously you're a busy guy, no doubt. But yeah, like we weren't sure. We're like, would he be up for this or anything like that? But
sure.
No, we're really glad to have you on. And obviously your collection is top notch. So as far as our podcast goes, we're like, yeah, he's number one. Like before we even started this thing, we're like, yeah, we got to get him on and talk to Marc-Andre Fleury. So thanks again for joining us.
No, of course. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Well, that was awesome. I know that both Aaron and I have been familiar with Kendall for many years at this point and have always really respected his collection. So actually getting to, kind of meet him, so to speak, was definitely really cool for me. And I'm sure it was for you as well, Aaron. But just being able to hear more about his collection and learn more about, not only his collection as a whole, but, kind of his thought process that goes into his collection as well was certainly very interesting to hear. And hopefully you guys enjoyed hearing from him. I mean, in case it wasn't obvious just from him sharing about his collection, I mean, this guy is just unbelievable in terms of, the sort of accomplishment that it is to have a collection like this is just mind-boggling. I mean, me and Aaron collect, guys that are basically, really not that
Scrubs.
big of a deal. So the fact that Kendall has over 5,000 cards of a superstar player is just mind-boggling. I mean, it's insane. So, like I said, I know that we've both really respected him over the years and, have done whatever we can to help him out. And just being able to talk to him was certainly an honor, and glad that it worked out to have him come on. So, let us know if you guys enjoy episodes like this, hearing from other collectors about what they do. And, we would certainly enjoy doing this more often. So if it's something that you guys enjoyed, definitely let us know and we can line up more of these for the future as well. So that'll pretty much wrap it up for episode 22. Thanks again for listening, everyone. We've said it a few times over the last few episodes, but our numbers have been really good of late. And, it's great to see that people are really enjoying the podcast and what we have to say and what our guests have to say as well. So please be sure to follow us on social media. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Center Ice Cardcast and on Twitter at Center Ice CC. Please also be sure to subscribe to the show on your podcast platform of choice to make sure you never miss a future episode. Until next time on Center Ice Cardcast, keep collecting those hockey cards.